WHIP Radio in Philadelphia. Now joining us on the hotline is a man that scored 1,216 career points in the NHL. You know him very well from his days in Philadelphia from 2001 to 2004. And now joining us to talk a little Flyers as the Flyers get a big win last night, 4-2 against Colorado's NBC Sports Network's very own Jeremy Roenick. JR, it's Zach and Mike in Philly. Thanks for a few minutes, and how are you?
Oh, I love coming on with my Philly friends. I love it. Anytime.
JR, I love having you on, and I know that you golf a lot these days. Have you wrestled any alligators lately on the golf course? Because I saw a video in October of you deciding to wrestle an alligator.
Actually saw one yesterday. I saw one yesterday down here playing in Florida, but didn't tackle it. Just let it be. Yesterday. Just let him be himself. It's fine.
Yeah, I'm not going to be one of these like fake radio tough guys. I see a raccoon outside my house and I'm running in the other direction and I'm petrified of it. So how does that come about that Jeremy Roenick decides to wrestle an alligator? How did that whole story come about?
Just down there playing golf, and he was sitting right in line with my ball, and I thought we'd have a little fun and go see how close we can get to it. And I just, I'm crazy like that. I do things that most people won't do, and my buddy was a little nervous, so I tried to play on that a little bit. So you hope that he did his natural reaction and jump into the water. I never thought it would happen if it would have turned around and got mad. So I'm just glad that I was right in my assessment, I guess. Yeah,
luckily you didn't lose your hand like that scene in Happy Gilmore as we're talking to Jeremy Roenick, who joins us right now on the hotline. So last night the Flyers get 3 goals in under 6 minutes. They're red hot these days, 7-1-2 in their last 10. Do you think the Flyers make the playoffs?
I do, without question. The way that they're playing right now and seeing how well that they are, how they're playing a 60-minute game has been pretty impressive. And what really impressed me about last night was they had a very, very tough shootout loss against the Columbus Blue Jackets, and one that they let up 2 goals in the last minute, one being on the power when they were on their own power play, shorthanded, which I'm sure could have been a demoralizer for them. What do? They fly west, they get into Colorado, they go and have a great game against a team who's also trying to make the playoffs, and where it's going to be hungry. That tells a lot about a character of a team when they can bounce back from something that they could have let get in their heads and hurt them, but they didn't. It's really impressive.
We all know they have a good coach. We know they have a good front office, but the play on the ice and this season really got turned around when Shane Gostisbehere got called up, and he's just been sensational. Giroux's also been playing really well as of late, but just what impresses you the most as a guy that's been around the league for a long time with Ghost?
Well, I think number one, you can tell that he loves to play the game, and the excitement on his face every time he touches the puck, how much he wants the puck. I think his abilities speak for themselves. I mean, his skating ability is phenomenal. He has great. He's got great. I think mind for the game, instincts for the game, and you know what? The kid's a gamer, and he wants the puck on the stick in the big time situations. And his enthusiasm rubs off on teammates. You see why everybody's having a lot of fun playing because of these guys that do have that youthful enthusiasm, that love and passion for the game. It's addicting. It breeds off onto other people.
We're talking to a former NHLer, now NBC Sports Network analyst, also podcaster extraordinaire, and that's Jeremy Roenick. And you can listen to his podcast entitled The Roenick Life Podcast. And keeping it on that podcast for a second, you've surrounded yourself within the hockey community. You frequently get to communicate with Edzo, Pierre, Jonesy. But what's it like working with Billy Jaffe, who I think is one of the most brilliant minds in the sport of hockey?
It's a great point, and he doesn't get enough credit for how much he knows and how smart he is, and his hockey intellect. He works extremely hard. He makes sure he's well prepared. He's well informed. He does his homework, and I've known Billy for 25, 30 years. So it's nice to be able to talk hockey with someone who doesn't care if he disagrees with me. He'll throw things at me me. He'll call me names. He'll do things that get me going. It makes for a very good podcast and entertaining listening. He's fantastic.
And talking about doing their homework, a lot of teams are going to have to do their homework during this playoff push. You were able to qualify for the playoffs on multiple occasions. Unfortunately, we're never able to hoist, Lord Stanley's hardware over your head. I know it's a bit cliche, but why is it the hardest trophy to win in all of sports?
I think for a lot of reasons. Number one, you have to go through 82 games of grueling punishment in order to make the playoffs. And then you have to go through 4 grueling rounds where the punishment is again, it's stepped up. The pace is stepped up. What you have to go through in terms of your body and the amount of conditioning you have to have and the amount of pain that you have to play through when you're playing every other night. There's really no time to rest. And to win 16 games, you're probably playing 23, 24, 25 games in order, and that's every other day at such a high pace. It's mentally exhausting. It's physically grueling and exhausting. No other sport has that kind of schedule to win a championship.
And to me, what makes it the best playoffs is so many years. You have like an 8 seed a few years ago, the Kings. They go in there, they win the entire thing. The last time the Flyers were in the Stanley Cup, you had a 7-8 matchup in the Eastern Conference Final between the Flyers and the Canadiens. Why do we see this from time and time that these seeds come in, 8 seed, 7 seed, and they find a way to make a big run?
I just think there's so many good hockey players right now. I think the talent is extremely strong right now around the world. The parity in the NHL is great because of the salary cap. It keeps more teams, I think, have that ability of staying competitive. You don't have like the Rangers or Toronto or anybody like that, cornering the market and spending, tens and tens of millions of dollars more to try to get the best players. So the salary cap has really helped the parity in the National Hockey League. But, I just think that the goaltenders are so good, the players are so good, and it's, obviously I'm biased, but I think it's the best sport in the world and the best league in the world.
And you know how physical it is, and you played the game with so much passion and physicality, and you had a lot of concussions. I believe the number was at 13, and now there's so much awareness with concussions and player safety. Even you see across all sports, like in the NFL, they had that movie Concussion come out. How much after your career do you think about the concussions, and do you have any effects negative from those concussions?
I don't think about it at all. To think about it would be taking, time off my life, which you guys know me. I love to live life to its fullest and enjoy every single day and every minute and whoever I'm with. So, that's just the way I live. And, I played the game the way it should have been played, and I played it hard and played it with passion. And, you take the good with the bad. Right now, I don't have any lasting effects of those concussions, and who knows how many I really had. When you talk about actual, dingers and stingers and all the things that you have in the course of a season. But I play the game the same way that I did, even knowing now what I do know now. It's just, it's just one of the things you take into consideration when you're going to play a pro sport.
And we all know this, sports teaches people so much, and it really turns boys into men, and it's so valuable playing sports. But now just with the way that sometimes the game isn't safe, when you look at the NFL or even the NHL, you sometimes have parents that are reluctant to let their kids play. Just tell the audience what hockey taught you in life after being a part of it for so many years.
Well, I think, it's sports in general. It's such an important part of our lifestyle and an important part of growing and maturing as a person. Especially team sports, you have to learn. You have to learn to be a good teammate. You have to learn to be competitive. I think sports keeps people out of trouble. It teaches them how to be a team player, and it teaches you to know how to win and lose. You have to know how to win and lose in life, and that's what sports gives you. And yeah, it has its downfalls with injuries and all that stuff. But if you're going to go through life worrying about getting hurt and injuries, then you're going to have a pretty boring life. To tell you the truth, if you ask me, I think what life is about is living it to its fullest and taking the good with the bad, like I said before.
And you mentioned earlier that the parity in the league is at its strongest right now, and especially when you look at American hockey, it's very strong. Do you feel a little bit like you're passing the baton, whether it's to a Patrick Kane or even some of the younger guys like a Dylan Larkin?
Sure. Sure, of course. It's like when I was 10 years old and I watched the U.S. Olympic team win the gold medal against the Russians, and that made me want to be a hockey player. My generation kind of was a generation that became a superpower. U.S. is no longer, a pushover in hockey. And now, those are the kids, the Patrick Kanes, Parisis, the Studers, they were watching us and watching, us win the '96 World Cup. And that's what creates new blood and new kids. And it continues to roll over with this breed. Now, all the young kids are now watching Patrick Kane and they're wanting to be Patrick Kanes and Zach Parisis. So, it's a good time in USA hockey right now.
And sticking with American hockey, I saw a spot with you on NBC Sports Network recently where you had Dylan Larkin. You also had Flyers captain Claude Giroux, and you made them do the Hotline Bling dance. Are you secretly just this huge Drake fan and you're forcing them to do the dance?
No, I just just trying to find something that they can come out of their shell with, that I can show people how great hockey players are and their personalities, and they're such wonderful people. They're giving, they're gracious, they have great personalities, and they have great humility, and they're characters, and I wanted to bring a lot out of them. So trying to do things that maybe are in the media, like Donald Trump did it on Saturday Night Live. So it was just fresh, it was new, and get the guys to do something goofy and strange, which is always fun.
Did you listen to a lot of music before games, and if so, what were you listening to?
I listen to everything. I listen to everything except country. I can't stand country. but I was a big disco fan. I had the disco ball in the Flyers locker room, and so I kept it loose for everybody for sure.
We're spending a few more minutes with Jeremy Roenick, who joins us right now from NBC Sports Network. So, JR, let's look back at your Philly days. I know they were short, but you definitely loved them. Just what stands out to you when you look back on those days in Philadelphia?
Loved. I wish I could go back to 2004 and tell Clarkie that I wouldn't accept the trade. They wanted to get Peter Forsberg in, and they had to get rid of a big contract, which was mine. I wish I would have just said, screw Forsberg. I want to stay in Philly because I love it so much. I look back as probably three of my most favorite years as a hockey player. Probably the best team I was ever on was the 2014 that lost in Game 7 to Tampa. That was probably the most I've been disappointed ever in the playoffs is that loss, because I knew we had the best team in the league at that time. So, and the fans there are phenomenal. The city is phenomenal. The electricity, their love for sports, and I loved how they were hardcore fans. They work hard, blue collar. That's kind of the way I wanted to play hockey, and we fit very well together.
When you first came to Philly, when was that first time that you said, hey, I'm really going to like playing here?
Right when I jumped on the ice in the first game. Place went nuts. Scored a goal in my first game. Place went nuts. And, I knew it was going to be a good marriage right from the start.
Wrapping up with Jeremy Roenick, who joins us right now. So, JR, let's take a look around the league as well. The Caps right now, they're the best team in hockey from the point standpoint. They've been dominating all year. They only have 10 games left, basically pretty much have everything locked up. Just how would you handle these last 10 games for the Capitals?
Well, for them, and it's what they do in the playoffs. Their regular season doesn't really mean too much. They put themselves in a good position to have the best kind of success in the playoffs. Obviously, getting home ice advantage the entire run is huge by winning that President's Trophy. So they're their own worst enemy right now. And if they can continue to play as well as they have all year and step it up a little bit in the playoffs, because you're going to have to step it up, they're going to be judged by how well they do in the playoffs. But there's some teams that seem to play very well against them. The Rangers play very well against them. You saw Pittsburgh just throttled them the other day. They can be beat, but they for sure have been the strongest in the East, for sure.
And I've seen you at the Garden the last few years for some long Rangers playoff runs, and this is a group that has a chance to go on another one of those long runs. And you know that I know this won't play well in Philadelphia, but I am a Rangers fan. So do you think this group has one more run left in them?
Yeah, I do, because of Lundqvist. And if Stahl can get his game going, if Rick Nash can find the score sheet more than once every 4 or 5 games, I think this team will be really good. Zuccarello is awesome. Brassard's been great all year. You know what you can get from Girardi and Mark Stahl, and they definitely have a run. But I want the Flyers to go on a run, so that's what I'm hoping for. Sorry.
No problem, JR. We appreciate the time today. Thanks so much. This was a lot of fun.
Awesome. Thanks, pal. Appreciate it.
There's Jeremy Roenick joining us on the hotline. We'll take a quick break and be right back.